I don't need a dress watch. I haven't worn a suit in years. He is also watching a channel about watches on something that can probably tell time better than any watch. So it's safe to say we left need behind a long time ago. Hi everyone, and now that we have re-established our firm grasp on the obvious, that this channel is about what we want, what we like, and learning more about it, not about what we need, welcome to Shadow So. And today, as you've guessed, we're talking about dress watches. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I think make a dress watch a dress watch. Now, before you kill me in the comments for the fact that I'm actually wearing a diver on a leather strap as my dress watch, first off, I don't own a proper dress watch yet. It is in the works though. And secondly, these are all more like guidelines than actual rules. You can always bend them, break them according to your own tastes. I mean, even the concept of having a watch on with a suit is technically supposed to be kind of faux pas. At least in black tie, you're not supposed to be wearing anything on your wrists. But in any way, let's get right into it. And first, I would like to thank Zaeger Watches in Sydney, Australia for lending in the watch that I'm going to be using to showcase all of these different elements, because it has all of them. And that is the Jaeger LeCoultre Master Ultrathin. Now, this is a watch that I think really encompasses everything about a dress watch. It has all the elements that I'm going to be outlining today. And also, I think it's a great value for a dress watch and one that's going to last a long time. Because the reality is, yes, today we don't have a lot of occasions for getting a dress watch. So all the more reason that even if you're just going to have one in your collection, you want to make it count, you want it to last, so when you do need it, it's there and it's working. And also so you can play around with your style and maybe incorporate it more into your day-to-day. Because at the end of the day, these aren't watches that you can only wear with formal occasions. You know, tastes change, styles change. You can always incorporate these into your day-to-day living. But in any case, let's start off. And the first thing is, it should have a leather or alligator strap. It's something that's just intrinsic to dress watches. Whenever we see them, it takes away the tool aspect of a watch right away. Metal, it shows that it has to be utilitarian, has to be strong, has to be rugged, has to be able to take abuse. Something like a NATO, you know, it's tactical, so obviously that's not really particularly formal. It's not what you associate with a dress watch. So the first step to any watch being classified as a dress watch, in my opinion, is you need to have a leather strap. General convention dictates you should always have all of your leathers matching, so that being your shoes, your belt, your watch strap. And for most people, unless you're very extravagant, you're probably going to be looking at something in either black or maybe in brown or caramel honey color, depending on your style, budget, etc. The next thing is to do with the dimensions. Specifically, it has to be thin. When you're wearing a dress watch, assuming it's a formal occasion, you're not supposed to be looking at the time all the time, and you're supposed to be paying attention to the moment. Whether it's a formal dinner, a gala, even a business meeting, you don't want to be coming off as looking at your watch all the time. So being able to hide it away shows that you're dedicated, you're there in the moment. It's an important detail. Now on this channel, I talk a lot about liking thin watches. I don't particularly like overly thick watches. I sold my Black Bay. One of the reasons was because it was too thick. This watch, for example, I can still slide it under my cuff, but with some tighter cuffs, it is a challenge because it is 13 millimeters tall, because it's a dive watch. I would say the general rule of thumb, if you're going for something that's explicitly a dress watch, go for something under 10 millimeters. The next thing on the list is it shouldn't be oversized. Dress watches are all about discretion and being subdued, so you don't want to have, you know, a 48 millimeter Hublot King Power on your wrist. First off, you'll never get that under a jacket sleeve because of the height, but more importantly, the idea of a dress watch isn't that it's calling attention. Again, it's about discretion. It's about having something that you can see when you need it, when you really need to check the time, but not something that's ever present, because again, it gives the impression that you're not really going to be there in the moment. And also the idea is that this is a subtle accessory, not something that's going to be defining your entire outfit. So definitely sub 40 millimeters is the way to go when you're looking at something like a dress watch. And then the next thing on the list is it should have an all polished case. The reason being that while yes, you do want it to be discreet, you still want it to have some sort of presence. And by being thin and not oversized, it means you can get away with full polish without it calling too much attention. And on top of that, because this is something you're wearing in a dress scenario, it's going to be covered mostly by your cuff and your jacket. You don't need to worry about, oh, scratches will show up on it. This is one of the many reasons why you can easily get away with a dress watch in a precious metal, and they're nearly always pristine. Why? Because they don't really see much action. They're always shielded by a cuff, by a jacket. You don't have a bracelet, so therefore it's not going to be scratched from desk diving. When you have something like a dive watch that's fully polished, it just looks really early 2000s. It looks a bit ostentatious, and it's just inviting scratches regardless of what metal your watch is made out of. Meanwhile, with a dress watch, you can get away with it, don't have to worry about scratches, and it's that little hint. At the end of the day, especially for guys, we don't have a lot of options in terms of like jewelry and accessories to really stand out. So our watch is our jewelry for a lot of people. Not everyone likes wearing, chains and bracelets. I wear a few, but at the end of the day, this is a way to get into having that little bit of, men's jewelry. It's an accessory that people can see, but you don't want them to see it too much. And then the last thing is, it should be a simple dial. We're talking only 3 hands or 2 hands if it's a quartz. The reason why I say that is because there are a lot of dress watches that are quartz, and that's perfectly fine, because at the end of the day, this is a watch you're probably not going to wear all the time. And quartz watches are extremely thin, so it definitely fits the MO of a dress watch. It fits the purpose, and it can even make them even thinner. However, if you are going with a quartz dress watch, I would recommend go with a 2-hander, purely because you don't want to be flagging that you have a quartz watch on your wrist. People might think that it's cheap. People might think that you're a bit cheap. And dress watches, dress attire, a lot of it is about the impression you give. So probably if it's quartz, keep it 2-hand. If it's automatic or manual wind, I would say keep it as a plain 3-hand. You can get away with some chronographs, but it is a dicey business. If you want to be really traditional, you want to go for a 3-hander. And maybe the only complications you'd want to look at are something like, a date or maybe a small seconds. And also, if you have a mechanical watch, this is probably a good excuse to get a manual wind watch. First off, it means that you're going to have a lot more interaction with the movement. Secondly, because this is a watch you probably won't be wearing in your day-to-day, it means a manual watch doesn't really matter. It's not like you have to wind it every day, so it's not much of a big deal. And also, manual wind watches tend to be thinner. The exception, however, is for watches like the Ultrathin, which are in fact automatic, so it means that you don't have to worry about winding it if you do want to use it on the regular, or if it's a watch perhaps you're not wearing to dinner parties, but you're wearing it as part of, your business attire. A lot of times people will go for a full-on dress watch as part of their business attire, again, because of that simplicity, because of that etiquette of not wanting to have something that's too showy, or simply because they like the simplicity and elegance of it. So definitely you want to go for an ultra thin or a thin movement, preferably manual wind, or you can get it in automatic if there's a watch that you find that can meet the other requirements as well. But in any case, these are my 5 things, the 5 elements that I think most define what a dress watch is. Like I said at the beginning, these are all sort of more guidelines instead of full-on rules, but even within these, there's so many options. You can get anything from as low as a few $100s. You can get, for example, a really nice Longines that meets all of these requirements. It's thin, under 40 millimeters, polished case, it's got the leather strap, and it's got a nice clean dial, but it still has a few little flares of excitement. Or you can even spend up to something like, $20,000-$30,000 on something like a Patek Calatrava, for example, which is probably one of the quintessential dress watches. Obviously, that's in white gold. You're getting a manual wind movement with a Patek Philippe seal. There's a lot more packed into those $20,000, but there's just such a broad range. And then you have something like the JLC, which in my opinion is a great sort of middle ground because it's automatic. You can still wear it as sort of your day-to-day watch if your lifestyle allows for it, but it's still so sophisticated. It meets all the other requirements. And also at about $5,000-$6,000, it's not gonna break the bank, which a lot of times people don't want to spend too much on a dress watch if it doesn't suit their day-to-day. So it does make for a good compromise. And if I wanted to get a full-on dress watch, this is probably the one I would look into. But in any case, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 5 components to an ideal dress watch? What other ones do you think I missed out? What would you say is your favorite dress watch? And what do you think of dress watches in general? I'd love to know in your comments below. And in any case, if you like this video, please do like it and share it. Thanks again to the guys at Zaeger for lending in the JLC that I used to feature throughout this video. Make sure you check out their links in the description below. If you want to see all the pictures and infographics from this video, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Shaluso. And if you want to keep seeing new watch videos, then subscribe to the channel as well. In any case, thanks for watching this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.